Hello, my name is John Paul. I graduated in 1965 from McCook High School. I was born and reared in McCook. I was born here in 1946 and spent all of my growing up years here. The story I was going to tell you today is about a particular event, a basketball game actually, that turned my life into a whole different direction from what it might have been. We had a great basketball team in 1965, and we had gone to the state tournament. And I remember that first basketball game we were playing Omaha West Side, and at halftime I got up out of my chair, since all of the pep club all sat together at that point in time, and all the M clubs sat together. I was with the M club, and my girlfriend at the time, who is now my wife of 41 years, was over in the in the pep club section. And I got up to go talk to her, and on my way over to talk to her, out of the stands I heard this voice say, "John, John." Well, I looked around, and it was Mrs. Molesby, Heidi Jo Molesby's mother, and she was kind of waving and saying, "John, come up here." And she was up in the stands, and she was sitting next to this very nice looking lady, very well dressed. And I went up there, and this lady said, "John, do you know who I am?" And I said, "No, ma'am, I don't believe I do." And she said, "Well, I'm Mrs. Morrison." Well, even I knew at that age that that was the governor's wife, and I didn't recognize her, so I was really embarrassed. But she didn't take offense from it, and we talked for a few minutes, and she talked about how she knew my parents, and she had actually sung at my parents' wedding, and when they were here in McCook. So we talked for a few minutes, and then she asked where I was going to go to college, and I said, "Well, I'm going to go to McCook Junior College." And she said, "Well, why aren't you going to go to the University of Nebraska?" I said, "Well, we just can't afford it." And she said, "Well, I need a houseboy next year at the governor's mansion. Would you consider coming down and being my houseboy and going to the university?" And I was just speechless, and she said, "Well, go home and think about it, talk to your parents, and I'll call you in a week and see what your decision is." Well, needless to say, I was so flabbergasted by all of this, I didn't go over and see Jackie at all. I just went back to my chair, I sat down, I could hardly even follow the basketball game after that, because to be able to go to the university and start off there was just totally change everything that would potentially happen for me. And it did. In 1965, as you recall, the Vietnam War was going very hot and heavy. Everyone had to take ROTC, so I went into the Air Force ROTC, and I was selected to get into the advanced program, and I did. And I was commissioned in 1969 as second lieutenant, and from there I spent an additional 26 years on active duty in the Air Force. Had a great career. I loved it. I spent 26 years doing basically missile and space operations, and had a great time. So that's kind of my story.
What did you have to do as being her manservant, or what would you call it?
Well, the houseboy?
Houseboy.
The houseboy job was really kind of doing the dishes, vacuuming. Mrs. Morrison wanted the entire mansion vacuumed every week, or anytime anybody walked on any of the carpets and you could see footprints, then you had to vacuum the room so that you wouldn't see any footprints. If anybody would come to the door, you went and you answered the door, and then if they had parties or state dinners and things like that, then you served. And also when it was just the governor and his wife, Mrs. Morrison, would have dinner at the mansion, then I served them. I was their set up their places and served their food and bussed the dishes and washed them and did those kinds of things. But
so
she had a cook.
Did you live there?
I did. I lived on the second floor in the west side, up on the. They had their own separate set of quarters, and I was kind of down the hall and had my own room, bathroom, bedroom, and was able to go to school.
So how long did you do that?
For 1 year. And then after that, I went through Rush and pledged to fraternity and went into the fraternity and spent another 3 years and graduated.
So that 1 year made the difference.
That 1 year was, otherwise I would have probably gone to McCook Junior College, and who knows what would have happened from there. would have maybe never gone into ROTC, not gone to commission, not gone to the Air Force. Yeah, who knows? But that was an event that I keep looking back on and saying, if I could look at any one thing and say, this was an event that turned things different direction in my life, that was a key event in my life.